So my fools that work forces, do I say that burn crosses? I'm trying.
As I know, I've seen all this Let the Music campaign that you did. That would be nice if you can describe this situation, how it started, and how did you connect with government? How did you get all this support, and what did you do after that? So that's
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, no problem at all. Let the Music Play came about because the live sector as a whole wasn't getting enough support from the government at the start of the coronavirus crisis. So we put together a campaign where 1,500 artists signed a letter to the culture minister, basically calling for support for the live music industry. And it was signed by everybody. I mean, there wasn't really anybody that didn't sign it. It was an amazing response. And then on top of that, we had, I think, another 1,500 signatures from key kind of industry individuals plus venues as well. So that really was. It worked extremely well. So we as a sort of the letter was delivered to the culture minister, and on the same day there was a huge amount of media exposure. We were trending at #1 on Twitter for most of the day globally, and really just raising the plight of live music. After that, so a couple of days after that, the government announced a £1.57 billion culture fund, which, I mean, I think we'd all like to take credit for the whole thing, but actually, I mean, that's not the case. I think what the campaign did was add live music into that fund, and also add I think, well, quite a large amount of money into the fund as well. So it definitely had an impact. So that's kind of one sort of thing, I guess, initially, and then after that, we spent a lot of time working on the fund, so to make sure that as many people from the live industry as possible could apply for funding. And then it's actually worked out that I think we ended up in the first couple of rounds, which were announced a couple of weeks ago. I think we had 360 or 370 successful applications, and something like 69-70 million pounds that's gone to the commercial live music industry. So really a positive result. So yeah, so that's I guess let the music play. We had a second kind of day as well, which followed up, which was focused on the crew, production suppliers and the ecosystem, behind the artists themselves. And again, I mean, that did a lot to sort of raise awareness about the issue.
So as I saw, you had a really fast impact and response from the government, like in 3 days, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was a fund already coming for culture as a whole, but I think what Let the Music Play did was it absolutely included the sort of contemporary live music industry in that fund, and it also meant that the government put more money into it. I mean, depending on who you speak to, it's about sort of £200 million or something, which is obviously all sort of hearsay and rumor. You never really quite know, what the truth of these things is. But it definitely had a fairly substantial impact, absolutely. And the other thing as well, sort of quite shortly after Let the Music Play, because one of the key points that we were asking for was a reduction on the VAT rate for ticketing, and that went from 20 to 5% on a temporary basis. So it expires at the end of March at the moment. But again, it was a real win for the sector, because obviously, that 15% saving on VAT is, if anyone was selling any tickets at the moment, would be very useful indeed.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, what was the main point who started this also? It was coming from your conference ILMC, or you had some new associations special for this case, or What is the start?
Well, so there's been a group which has been existing for quite a long time in the UK called the UK Live Music Group, and that pulls together the various different associations in the UK that for live music. So the Concert Promoters Association, the National Arenas Association, the Music Venue Trust. There's about 10 to 12 members. So really, the Let the Music Play came out of that. It was Stuart Galbraith from Kilimanjaro in the UK, Phil Bowdry from Live Nation, who's chair of the Concert Promoters Association, and a few other people that we really got together, and there was a sense that more needed to happen. So we engaged a lobbying company and a PR company, raised some money to pay for it all, and then develop the campaign as well. And it ran with UK Music is sort of the umbrella organisation for the recording and publishing music sectors as well in the UK. So it ran with UK Music. So it was really the first. It's probably actually the biggest kind of cross-industry campaign that's ever been run on a single day. I mean, everybody came together for it, so it was very effective.
Yeah, it's a really interesting case for all other countries, because the main goal of our next forum that we do tomorrow is to connect this kind of association that we created here in Kazakhstan with the government sector. So, and the same is going on in Russia, for example. So it's really interesting to see how it worked in other countries. So
I think the key thing is what we found is making a really is making an economic case to government. It's been really key. So we did another piece of work we've done more recently, actually, was called the Cliff Edge Report. And we basically looked at the levels of redundancies and unemployment up until the end of the year without any further government support. And that was, I mean, the figures were pretty shocking for that. So I think we worked out as 210,000 full-time equivalent roles in live music in the UK, and 140,000 of those are sort of part-time and temporary, and they've just disappeared since March. And of the remaining amount, I think there's 56,000 full-time roles, and half of those were going to be gone by Christmas. So you're talking about 180,000 jobs effectively out of 210,000 disappearing. And so that piece of economic work was really important, because it actually puts a figure on the level of unemployment and the level of business interruption that there is. So that again was quite instrumental in the government continuing the furlough scheme to March, because previously it was ending in October. So I think that definitely helped as part of the argument for them to continue government support to employees. So there's been a few things like that, but I think it's what's been really important is the way that we're sort of stating the case to government is framed by what's the economic impact. The cultural argument is very difficult to make. I think it's difficult to say, well, it's going to be terrible if there aren't any shows because people love live music. What we've really been focusing on is saying the UK live music industry generates £4.5 billion a year, and currently like 90% of it is fucked. So that's a much stronger argument to make. I mean, like the news about the various vaccines in the last week has been really positive. That's going to obviously, that's a real light at the end of the tunnel. I think in the UK by the summer, most people above the age of 50 probably would have been vaccinated. So that really starts to open a lot of doors for the festival season. I think that certainly the whole of next year we're going to be living with COVID risk mitigation measures. So the experience of going to shows is going to have a lot more kind of health and safety measures attached to it, and I think people are going to be understanding about that. I think that mass testing is going to be a really big part of any show. As soon as stuff comes back. I mean, especially given that there are so many tests now available, and the price of them is coming down so much. So the point at which you get down to a test that costs $2, $3, $4, it become and they're very quick as well. You can actually then just test people immediately before they're going into a venue, and so quite quickly know that the majority of the crowd that's in a venue doesn't have coronavirus, and that doesn't, you know, and that therefore there isn't a health risk, you know, or any more of a health risk as there would be normally. So I think it's those things, you know. I think things will start to come back probably after you know, in kind of Q2 next year. January, February, March, nothing really. I don't think. I think things are, the sort of the bigger shows and venues are going to start to open from April, May, June next year. Festivals, I think we'll see some festivals next summer. Probably not all festivals, but you know, really, I mean, the last few days has been probably the most positive time for, you know, this whole year actually, with news of the vaccine. So, you know, I think a lot of people are feeling a lot more positive than they were 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you for your interview. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Hope it goes well. Send me a link. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope we'll join ILMC next year. Maybe we hope so.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, I think ILMC will be online, so hopefully you can definitely join. You won't need to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for the opportunity, Vladimir. Appreciate it. Always nice to be asked to do these things.